Stocks and cryptocurrency are falling. The euro is at a 20-year low and people are terrified. The economy is going bust and some people are really scared. But right now is actually the time to take some action because that's going to yield the best long-term results. Today I'm going to discuss the 5 best alternative investment strategies for 2022 and beyond. My investment strategies in the past have yielded me 300% returns on stock, 1,000% returns on crypto, and even greater than that on some of my alternative investments. So more on that later, and stick around to the end to find out what has been my biggest return for alternative investments. Now, I want to make a very clear emphasis that this is not financial advice. This is just what's worked out well for me in the past and what I'm doing currently in the future. Now, some of the things I talk about today, I'm actually currently invested in, and I'll show you some of the results that they've had. So let's go ahead and dig into the top 5 best alternative investment strategies. Coming in at number 1 is watches and luxury goods. Now, I want to emphasize something with all investments that probably 99% of the things are not going to do well. And that's going to be the factor with just about every investment class we talk about today. So how can you focus on that 1%? Now, with luxury watches, you can do some research to figure out which watches, which companies, and which data points are going to support making a good investment. Now, the reason people pursue alternative investments is because if you're just holding a bunch of cash in your bank account, you're actually losing money. The inflation rates are skyrocketing, so 6 to 9% inflation rates are the actual reality. So if you're holding cash, that means that cash is losing value. What you can do is put that cash into an alternative investment that is going to appreciate over time. One of the first things that I want to talk about is luxury watches. So, for example, instead of holding $50,000 in a bank account that's going to lose money with inflation, you can put that $50,000 into an investment with a luxury watch. These luxury watches have been shown to appreciate over time, so that $50,000 investment, usually after you buy something like a Rolex or a very specific subset of watches, you can buy it and then resell it literally days later for $10,000, $20,000 more because the supply and demand is controlled by companies like Rolex. So there is more demand for these items, and that's going to be kind of the general consensus for a lot of these alternative investments, where the supply and demand is very well controlled and optimized to make investments. So one of the big benefits of investing in watches is, let's say you're traveling or you're wanting to move funds overseas, you can only take around $10,000 of cash from one country to the next. The great thing about a luxury watch, in this previous example, if you buy a $50,000 luxury watch, you can move that overseas and you can end up selling that for cash. It's also a much bigger store of value because you're not going to be losing money like you are if you're just holding it in cash. So every investment has an upside and a downside, and some of the downsides that I personally see with luxury watch investments is, one, it can be a little bit difficult to determine what's popular now versus what's going to be popular in 5 to 10 years. The brand or the type of watch might change over time, so something that you think is really popular now might not necessarily be popular in the future. The second downside I see for luxury watches is there's going to be normal wear and tear. Maybe you get it scratched, maybe you lose it. It can be easier to get stolen than something that's in a bank. The last downside to watches is it can be a little bit harder to sell. Like traditional stocks and crypto, which you can sell within seconds, it might take you a little bit more time to actually find a buyer for a $50,000, $100,000 watch. There might be commissions involved, and if you use a broker, if you use an authorized reseller, if you do your research and you isolate the right brand and the right type of watch, it can be a really good investment and a really good store of value. So the second investment that I want to talk about is art. Now, more than $65 billion worth of art was sold in 2021, and a big part of this was with the NFT marketplace where they're selling digital art. Now, you might be thinking, why are all these millionaires, these billionaires investing in art, and how can you do something similar? Now, the reason that multimillionaires are buying and investing in art is a situation like this. They go to an art auction, they buy a $5 million piece of art. They then send this piece of art to a free port where there's no taxes, you don't have to put any taxes on this item. Essentially, this piece of art will sit there and accrue value. Because art is so subjective, this same $5 million piece of art could be reappraised for a few years later and be appraised for $25 million. Now that you have a $25 million piece of art, you can actually lend this to museums and you can write this off as a tax write-off. So this is going to be a huge tax saver, and it's one of the reasons that people are investing in art. It holds and stores value. It gives you an option to really actually write off the tax, and people are going to use and enjoy art. So you can actually lend this part-time to museums, and you can have it in your home for the other times. And this is kind of the general process for accumulating art, why wealthy people are actually buying it, and essentially they're using it for tax write-offs and for tax incentives, and to just store value. So some of the main benefits of investing in art is, one, if you're going to do the tax write-offs, that's one really good option. The other option is you're able to just store your value. Similar to luxury watches, some artwork is going to accrue value. So if you're going to get it reappraised, you're going to be able to sell it later for more than you bought it. Now, the main differential is if you're going to be investing in stocks or if you're going to be holding your cash, as long as you're outperforming that, it's going to be a really good investment. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword with art because it is so subjective that it can be hard to find buyers for art. There's a big process, it takes time. You're not going to be able to sell a piece of artwork that's worth millions of dollars over time. Now, this is with physical art, and there's been a big disruption with NFTs. You can sell these NFTs a lot faster because you're able to do it virtually and online. With physical art, there usually needs to be an art auction involved. There's going to be a lot of commissions, and it can take months or even years to sell art. And again, a lot of times, 99% of the art that people buy is not actually going to appreciate. So moving on to number 3, which is Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. These have been some of the best investments to make over the past decade, and there's proof to show you right here. Looking at this chart here, you're going to see all the differentials between investing in Bitcoin, investing in the stock market, investing in things like gold, and all these other alternative investments. And Bitcoin has greatly outperformed all of these investment classes. So I think certain cryptocurrencies, again, 99% of them are not going to do well, but if you can focus on that 1% that has a lot lower risk and a lot higher chance of appreciating over time, you're going to really build a profitable portfolio. And I've personally seen with my crypto investments, they've yielded thousands and thousands % of return. And my strategy is with a long-term investment with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies that I see are going to be the clear winners over the next 10 to 15 years. If you have the same strategy, I think you'll do really well with almost any investment. Some of the downsides of crypto, and I've seen a lot of people be over leveraged. Essentially what they're doing is they're putting money that they need for their day-to-day life, or they're putting extra money that if a bad situation happens, they need to access this money. But cryptocurrency is extremely volatile, meaning it can make huge ups and huge downs within a matter of a few days. So there's been instances of Bitcoin dropping, $10,000 in a few days, and compared to stocks, which is usually not going to have that big of a drop. So that is one of the downsides, is it can be a lot more volatile than other traditional investment classes like stocks. So when you're looking at crypto, there is a little bit of risk, and I would say the other downside is it's just kind of complicated. You need to have a hardware wallet. You need to be worried about where you're storing your cryptocurrency. A lot of these problems are going to take a few more years to solve, and once they solve these problems, once they have Bitcoin ETFs or cryptocurrency ETFs that have a backing from the bank, this will make things a lot easier for the traditional investors and for the retail investors to start getting into the cryptocurrency sphere, because things like Bitcoin, again, this goes back to the supply and demand. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin, and this is going to be something that is absolutely certain. It can't be changed. Things like luxury watches and art are going to have an unlimited amount of things that can be produced each year. So you have no dictation, or you have no idea on how much of those items are going to be produced each year. So again, things like Bitcoin, where the supply and demand is very controlled, is going to yield a longer positive net result for your investments. So moving on to number 4, when looking at investments, investing in yourself or an educational product to learn how to start your own business is probably going to be the best investment you can make. I've gone to university, I've gotten my MBA, and honestly, those experiences were amazing, but some of the best investments I've made have been from reading books, taking online products where I invest $500, $1,000, and I'm getting 10 times, 100 times net ROI on that investment. So building a business is going to be the highest ROI you can create compared to any of these other alternative investments, because at the end of the day, a lot of these investments are not producing cash flow. And for any investment, cash flow is going to be king. And if you're able to produce and build a successful business, again, a lot of people are going to fail, but if you're able to figure out and crack the code, you're going to have cash flow and you're going to be making and creating one of the best investments that you've ever made in your life. So figuring out people who can help you in this space, reading the right books, taking the right programs are all going to be factors to making sure that you start a profitable online business or a profitable offline business. There's a lot of great options out there. Me personally, I only focus in the online space, but I've seen so many great businesses be developed just from building websites that have created profitable income up to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in profit. So the sky is really the limit with online businesses, and more on that later. A few of the best online businesses to start from scratch are one, freelance writing. This is one of my favorite businesses to get started with because one, you already have the skill. You don't have to spend 4 to 5 years learning a new skill. With freelance writing, you can start earning $3,000 to $4,000 a month in additional income, and then you can eventually turn this into a full-time business or a full-time side hustle where you really scale it up. So imagine just being able to earn an extra $3,000 to $4,000 each month with the skill you already have. Now, this is something that can be extremely powerful and something that I've helped people do a number of times. As far as other businesses to start, it really depends on how much capital you have to invest. So a business like Amazon FBA or e-commerce is going to require a lot more upfront capital, and this can be in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. Other businesses like affiliate websites or niche websites, you probably don't need that much money to invest. It can take just $100 or $200 to build a website, start writing content, and start making money, but that's going to be a lot longer process. That might take 1 or 2 years before you actually see consistent income in your website. So lastly, one of the businesses that I always recommend is to do some type of coaching program. Now figure out what your best skill set is and try to see if there's some demand for that. Now, let's say you're really good at fitness, you could do online fitness consultation, weight loss programs, or any number of things to figure out, okay, people are really needing this, I can help them do this. Start off with getting 4 or 5 coaching students and then turn that into an actual program where you're gonna be able to sell and scale that program over time, because that's going to be able to go from maybe 4 or 5 students a month to hundreds of students a month who can take your automated program. So that's one of the best business models. And again, I know on YouTube and I know on a lot of places, these online programs get a lot of flack, but there's a reason so many people do it, and you can do it the right way. You could do it the way that's going to have a huge impact on people's lives. Now, helping them lose weight, helping them make more money, or helping them develop skills that's going to make their life better. Of course, that's going to have a really positive impact on the world. So number 5, if you're not looking to start a business from scratch, which can take 2 to 3 years time, buying and acquiring an already profitable online business is the fastest way to success, and it's been the best investment strategy that I've personally seen. It outperforms real estate, it outperforms stock, it outperforms crypto, and it produces crazy good cash flow. So for example, I've acquired businesses that within 8 months, I've received back my initial ROI. I've more than 5x some of these businesses, and now I'm just generating passive cash flow. Now, this is an industry that I helped broker more than $120 million of these online businesses, and I've seen every way you can make money online. Now, if you're interested in learning more about buying and selling online businesses, I'm going to be creating a lot more content, and I'm also going to be offering a free consultation for people who are looking to potentially join my acquisition program to buy online businesses. Now, essentially, I help you find a deal that's going to be a good fit for your skill set. I negotiate on this deal, and then I help you grow and manage the business over time. So even if you don't have a ton of online experience, that's where I come in to help you learn and make sure that you're buying an online business that's going to fit your needs and desires. And some of these online businesses, over a period of time, can replace your actual current income. Now, the typical investment strategy for online businesses is you're going to get your investment back within 2 to 3 years, and that's only if you just maintain the business. Previous examples, like I mentioned, I was able to grow these businesses and get my ROI back in a matter of 8 months. Now, this just shows the power of acquiring an online business with a business that you see a lot of growth potential to make adjustments from day one and start growing these businesses. You can hold on to the cash flow, or you can flip it for 5-10 times more than what you actually bought it for. Now, this is a crazy industry, but there's not a lot of people that have experience in this, and I think it's one of the reasons most people aren't talking about this as an alternative investment, but it's really actually exploded over the past few years in a small segment of VC people who've invested billions of dollars into acquiring these types of businesses, and nobody seems to be talking about it because they don't really know and understand the value of this investment class. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link below where you can find out more information. And again, thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate it. If you have a better alternative investment, make sure to leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to be publishing new videos every week, so click that bell icon to make sure you get notified when my next upload goes live.